Namaste, Dosto. It's John. I'm an American. My wife is Indian. And I get a lot of Indians asking me how can they also get married to an Indian. It's probably one of the number one questions I get from Indians. And I have some good news for you. So keep watching because I might seem a bit negative in the beginning. But if you're an Indian wanting to marry an American, there are some things you need to know about Americans. First of all, the way I got married to my Indian wife is I went to India. At that time, I was interested in learning Hindi. I wasn't thinking about getting married. But I actually met her at the bookstore that she was working at. I thought she was very beautiful, and I found her on Facebook. And we talked for a while, and then we got married. That is a very rare case. There are not many Americans coming over to India and getting married to Indians. Also, here's something else you need to know. Indians do arranged marriages. Most Americans do not do arranged marriages. So, many times an Indian will send me a DM on my Instagram and say, hey, do you have any relatives who are single? And the answer to that is actually, I don't have any relatives who are single. Then they ask, do you have any friends who are single? And what they want me to do is, actually, I don't even have any friends who are single. But what the Indian wants me to do is to go talk to that American and say, hey, here's an Indian who wants to get married. Would you like to meet them? But most Americans don't do arranged dating or marriages like that. Most Americans prefer or get married to someone who they've been around for a while. So sometimes it's someone who they met in high school. A lot of times it's someone who they met in college, or it could be someone who they met at work, or maybe someone they just live nearby. So if I were to say to an American, hey, there's this Indian who wants to get married, would you like to meet them? Most likely they're going to say, thank you for thinking about me. I appreciate that, but I'd rather do this by myself. And they want to just naturally fall in love with somebody who they're close to. In my opinion, dating is a little bit easier that way. But I know a lot of Indians, they want to do the arranged marriage. The Indians are very serious about marriage. I really appreciate that about Indian culture. So I want to tell you some ways that maybe some Indians can get married to Americans. So this is 2024, and these days we have dating apps. So if an American is on a dating app, right away that tells you that that American is at least willing to meet somebody online for potential dating and potentially for marriage. So that's a good sign. So I would encourage Indians to get on dating apps where there are Americans. Now, I never used a dating app. I met my wife for a little bit and we started talking a lot on Facebook. But I've never used a dating app, so I first want to say dating apps can be a little bit dangerous because you really don't know that person. And so I want to say if you do use a dating app, I'm not responsible for what happens to you. Just a warning. You need to proceed with at least a little bit of caution. But since I like to post things about me and my Indian wife, since we have an intercultural marriage, I get a lot of ads from international apps. So I would say that's even a better idea, is an international app. Because if you find an American on the international app, that means not only are they willing to just meet somebody randomly, but they're also willing to meet someone randomly who might live in a different country. So, in my opinion, that is probably your best way if you're in India of how you could get married to an American. And some of them say, hey, I want to get married to an American. I think this international dating app, you can meet people from all over the world. So it doesn't just have to be an American. And so recently, I've been getting a lot of ads from this one app, and I looked at some reviews, and there's lots of good reviews, but I want to just say again, please use caution. This app actually really helps you a lot to make sure that the person you're talking to is a real person who is genuinely interested in getting married. So now some Indians will think that this is a funny, it's already a funny kind of name for an app, but I think especially Indians will think it's a funny name. It is called, the name of the app is called Bumpy International Dating. That's what it's called. Bumpy International Dating. This is, let's see if you can see this. This is what it looks like. Right there. That's what the logo looks like. It's kind of like a light blue. It has the word bumpy in white and has a white heart. And I've seen the ads, and it even has, it helps you translate your language. Like, say if your language is Hindi and you want to talk to someone in English, it helps translate that, and if the person in English wants to talk to you in Hindi, it translates that also, which I think is good for communication. But if you're gonna get married, I think it's very important that you're able to both speak at least one language together. Now, this is another word of caution that I want to give to Indians. If you get on this dating app and you find an American, if you find an American on this dating app, you need to tell them that you are an Indian and you are very serious about getting married. Because many Americans are also serious about getting married, especially if they're on this app. But many Americans can date for a long time, and sometimes the dating goes nowhere and they don't get married. So sometimes an American might date someone for a year, maybe even a few years, and then they just decide they're not interested and they don't get married. Indians, I like this about Indian culture. Indians, when they start dating or whatever you want to call it, through their arranged marriage, their arranged preparation for marriage, the Indians are very serious. So usually in Indian culture, one family meets another family, they have a few conversations, important conversations about marriage, and then they make the decision. So it's really fast. So an Indian needs to communicate to the American that they are very serious about getting married and they don't want to be dating for years, and they want to know close from the beginning if you feel like this could be a potential marriage or not. Now, the Indian also needs to know that you do need to give the American a little bit of time. An American is going to want to get to know you better. Yes, some things are very important, like money, job, education, personality, the kinds of likes you have. Those are important things you can talk about. But the American also wants to be able to feel comfortable talking to you and really enjoy getting to know you before the marriage happens. A lot of Indians, it's you get married and then you get to know the person after marriage. So to the Indian, the American is going to need at least some time. So it's, when me and my wife were dating, I told my wife, I need some time before I decide if I'm going to marry you. And then she would the next week say, okay, now we're going to get married. And I said, I need more time than that. I want to feel comfortable around you and at least talking to you online. A lot of our dating was online, a lot of messages through Facebook and video chats, but it did work out. So that's my best piece of advice, is that dating app. I've never used it. If someone does use it, let us know below in the comments how you feel about it. If are there difficulties, do you feel like it's a good app? This is my best piece of advice. I wish I could give some better advice. There are a lot of Indians telling me they want to get married to an American, and I feel bad for them because that's a really difficult situation. But I mean, it's 2024. We have apps like this dating app. Maybe it has some potential, but I don't know. Okay, that's all for today. Watch the video about how me and my Indian wife met each other. Watch another video about if we're happy together. If an American Indian couple can be happy together. And then I have a lot of other videos about India, about culture shock that I experienced by living in India. Make sure you watch those. Bye bye, dosto.